measure with a fork.
How can you tell if your baby is dehydrated?
And how many cans can I take from this wall before the whole thing tumbles down? How? How?
How full is a glass? Carol, Fred, tell me, how full do you think that glass is?
Very full, 3/4 full.
No, slightly more, 7/8.
OK, 3/4 versus 7/8. Therefore, which one of these glasses, 1 to 5 here, do you suppose would top that glass up to the brim?
I'd go for the middle one, number 3.
Number 3.
No,
Carol.
it's obviously number 1.
Number 1.
It's got to be.
What would you say if I said it was, in fact, number 5?
So you're crazy.
Never.
Watch this. Brilliant.
How come?
Well, it's simple. I use sherry glasses. Now, sherry glasses are narrower at the bottom than they are at the top. So the amount you have in the top is greater than the amount you have in the bottom. So it's real easy to make it look full. And the way to set up the trick is to fill a sherry glass and pour some back out into there. And that's how you can probably win some money on your friends, providing you do it in the first place.
How can you cook the books?
Oh, I like mine in a white wine sauce, bit of garlic, mushrooms, that sort of thing.
No, you don't mean that, do you? Fiddling your accounts, that sort of thing.
Exactly, because in the days before computers, all firms used to keep details of money paid and money received carefully in an accounts book. I've got an old how-to accounts book here. Let's see who owes me things. Yes. Carol owes Fred £2, 2 shillings and 6pence. It's an old book, you see. Gaz owes Fred 2 sovereigns and a packet of jelly babies. Good, yes. Carol owes Fred £5. That's almost £10 they owe me so far. Well worth going into the accounts book. What's this? Fred owes Gaz £10 and 2 packets of jelly babies? Nonsense. Fred owes Carol £21.71. No, and a birthday present. Fred owes Gaz £10, 2 cup funnel tickets and 2 packets of jelly babies? No. Fred owes Carol £100. This can't be true. Fred owes Gaz £3,826. No. Fred owes Carol £296,426. No, I'm not having that. That's the end of that. I've destroyed the evidence. I've cooked the books. Or have I? No, I haven't. You see, because account books always had this very clever marbled effect along the edges of the pages, so that if you took pages out, the marbled effect was destroyed. The pattern was broken. I've got a good one here you can look at. We've actually taken a few pages out of this particular book, and watch as I pull it out very slowly how the marbled pattern does change and does become slightly distorted. And when it comes out completely, a sharp-eyed detective would notice the change in that marble pattern on the edge of the book. So that's how you can cook the books, but you shouldn't try it, because if you do, you'll get your fingers burnt.
How many cans can I take from this magnificent wall before the whole thing falls down? Fred and Gaz?
None. They're all resting on each other.
Yeah, just one thing. Are those glued together?
No, they are not glued together, Mr. Fred.
In that case, 1, 2 at the most.
2 at the most. All right, well, the first question we have to answer is, why does a wall stand up in the first place?
Cement!
It is not cement, not more glue, no. I can show you how using my trained pet bricks. If you built a wall just as a column, placing one brick directly on top of the other, then the weight goes from one brick to the next, to the next, to the next, and everything looks perfectly fine. But is it? This wall, in fact, would be unstable. For instance, if a little wind blew in from the side, the whole thing would fall down. Not good at all. The way a brick wall would be built properly is much more like this. Now here, the weight of each brick is being supported by the bricks underneath, and so you get a sort of interlocking of forces, and this interlocking makes the wall much more stable, much stronger. So now I can even take one of the bricks away from the bottom and it will remain standing. Watch this. Thank you, thank you. If you notice, these 2 bricks here are trying to twist inwards, but it's this interlocking brick on the top which is stopping them from doing so. Well, that's the theory. Now for the practice. How many cans can I take from this wall before the whole thing tumbles down? Let me try one right in the middle. Gently, gently, gently.
One.
And another.
Two.
And one from here. And that's how.
How fast are a plant's reactions? Well, first of all, you need to know what a plant reacts to. Now, plants react to sunlight, like this one here, which has reacted to sunlight and opened up its petals, whereas this one has been kept in darkness and therefore has produced no petals. How fast is a plant's reactions? Let's see how fast it reacts to sunlight. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Time's up. Oh, nothing's happened there. It hasn't closed up its petals. Not a very fast reaction. Now, plants also react to water. Take, for instance, this. What is this, a carnation here? Which has dyed its ends of its petals blue because it's standing in blue-coloured water. It's been drawn up. How fast will it react to water in this instance? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. No discernible colour change. Plants are also sensitive to touch and vibration. And this plant here, which is called Mimosa pudica, watch this. Let's see. How sensitive is it? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and... Did you see that?
Yes.
Watch this again. Watch this again. Now that's actually beaten the clock. Look at it go. What's happening here is that when I touch the end of Mimosa pudica here, like this, an electrical impulse is sent from cell to cell through the plant. A bit like a row of dominoes, really. A knock-on effect. And that electrical impulse tells each cell, which is full of water, much like a balloon full of air, to give up its water, and the plant becomes flaccid. Now...
Guys, isn't that a little bit cruel?
Oh, not really, because look, here's one I terrorised earlier, and look, you're all better now, aren't you? Look at it go. Now, the reason why the plant does this, it's thought to be a defence mechanism against too much rain or too much sunlight. But how the plant does it so quickly remains a mystery.
Carol, top that.
How can I make a top out of a matchbox? Gaz?
Dress him in black and give him a speech impediment?
No, I don't mean a Gaz top. I mean one of these. From one of these.
You can't, because a matchbox is entirely the wrong shape, surely.
Aha! Well, you take the lid off your matchbox, flatten it out, and cut it into quarters. Like that. 2 quarters, 3 and 4. Then taking the strike end, put the non-strike end next to that and arrange it into a square, so one chases the other. With me so far?
Yeah.
Next, you want to make the square smaller, so you push the strike end into the non-strike end of the next bit. The last one's always a little bit tricky. Now you can hold it up as a square. The next thing you do is you take opposite corners and push them into the middle. Then you go after the third end, push it through so that the strike face comes out, and finally pull this one down so it looks something like a cross. Then take a match, push it through the middle, tighten everything up, and now I have a top from a matchbox, and that is how.
Right, how can you tell if your baby is dehydrated? Well, what does dehydrated mean? It actually means a shortage of fluid, a lack of water. All human beings, including me and my little mate Edward here, are in fact full of water. 95% of our bodies are water, but if that water level drops too much, we become ill, we become dehydrated, and we can die. Every year, 5 million children around the world die through dehydration, mainly in third world countries where pure water is very difficult to find. They get diarrhea, all the liquid in their bodies goes through them and comes out in their clothing, in their nappies. It's not replaced, and they die. So how can you tell if someone is dehydrated? Well, with babies, they're quite unique in one way, and that is this. If we look at this model of a baby's skull, you see this dark area here. It's called a fontanelle. It's a soft area between the various bits of bone in the top of the skull. And babies' heads are designed like this to make it easier for the mother to give birth and to make it easy for their brain to grow. And when they're a couple of years old, these bits of bone knit together so the top of the skull becomes hard, just like mine. But to tell if a baby is dehydrated, you look at the fontanelle, that little bit there, and if that is sucked in, like that, then the baby is dehydrated. Now, Edward here, can you turn around, Edward? There we are, there's a good boy. Yes, that's a good boy. Now, we can't see his fontanelle, but I can feel it, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. But if that was sucked in, what we do is this. Get him some nice, clean, fresh water, add a tiny drop of salt, a little bit of glucose, and then we top him up so that his water level was back to the 95%. Doesn't taste very good, but it can be a lifesaver, and that's how you tell if a baby is dehydrated.
You know what they say, never perform with children, animals, or Fred Dinage. How can you hang a picture with a fork?
What do you mean, hang a picture with a fork?
This is an absolute classic how. You know the problem, Carol, Fred.
Yeah.
When you come to hanging up a picture, it's one of the more difficult things in the entire universe. There's your hook in the wall. You get your finger on it so you know where the hook is. And you try and slide the wire over the hook and you can't get your face.
Yes. The how? How do you hang it with a fork?
Allow me to explain. Well, perhaps the idea is that the fork replaces the hook, and there goes your picture of Guy Fawkes. Don't think so.
No.
Or perhaps the idea is to use 4 forks mounted in the wall like that with the handles out, and there's your picture of 4 fork handles.
No, Gaz.
Obviously, that doesn't work either. I must say, actually, a big thanks to the Louvre in Paris, who've loaned us this Mona Lisa here. Well, maybe the idea is to use the fork like this.
No.
I don't think so. This is the answer. It's brilliantly simple. Take a fork, go to the hook that's mounted in the wall, slide the fork over the hook, like that. Take your photograph that you're going to mount, slide that over the fork. It then slides all the way down to the base of the hook. You take your fork away like this. And that's how you hang a picture with a fork. 4-course meal.
Brilliant.
And now, how can you sing 2 notes at the same time? Well, I can't, but I do know a man who can. Take it away, Dr. Tran Quang Hai. Wonderful. Now, Hai, how long did it take you to learn how to do that?
Well, it took me about 6 years.
And how long is it going to take me to learn how to do that?
Well, roughly 2 minutes.
2 minutes. Let's try.
Then the first exercise that you just say O and then R, and with the nasal sound.
All right.
Very good. And then, the next exercise, you just put up the top of the tongue up to the palate.
Right.
And you say L.
L.
Brilliant!
All right, boys, now you've seen just how superb I am at it. You must have a go too. So, Gaz, can you begin? Wonderful. And that's how for now.